many of you see, Carson City is under siege, not from tanks or Humvees or other such military vehicles, but from forklifts, tractors, diggers, and more. I'm amazed at how much has happened since early March, and I guess it takes a former Marine colonel to coordinate this massive maneuver. Our supervisors are front and center when it comes to this reimagining, and one person who oversees the overseer is the general, if you will, and that is our mayor, Robert Crowell. Mayor, if you will please introduce today's speaker, but I have something for you too before you even do that. Of course. Okay. Anybody who knows our mayor knows he's got a sweet tooth. So I have a whole thing of jelly beans here for you. All right. And also I have a double crisp Easter bunny, and you eat the ears off first, okay? All right. So anyway, without further ado, take it away.
All right. Well, good afternoon or good morning, wherever it is. First, let me say, we always say turn your cell phones off. Today, I think you ought to turn them on, turn on your iPhones, get all your internet stuff, get ready to go, because I'm sure you don't want to hear what Nick has to say. So just take your time and do something else. No, I'm just kidding, Nick. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce our city manager. Many of you know Nick was selected by a citizens committee and then appointed by the Board of Supervisors in June of 2014 to become the next city manager of our great community here. And I think I speak for everybody in this room. Nick hit the ground running. And so did his wife Tammy and his family. And Rita, I know that you're also hitting the ground running because you're out here talking to him all the time. But our city manager, I'm proud to say, is he's not a former Marine because there are no such things as former Marines. There are only Marines. But Nick is a retired Marine colonel. He's had 4 tours in Iraq and a couple other 6 or 7 months or year tours outside of those official tours. He is deep when he came, and he's deeply involved in our community in all aspects. And I think when you look at the work that's going on right here, I think Ronnie probably said it right. He doesn't let grass grow under his feet. I mean, he's a good manager. So on behalf of all of us, I'd like to introduce the city manager, Nick Marano. Nick, come on up.
Thank you. Is my microphone on? Can you hear me? Okay. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Is it too loud? It sounds like it might be. No? It's good. Okay. Good. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Ronnie, I want to thank you and the board for the invitation to come here today. I've got a real extensive brief. My intent is to run through it pretty quickly so I finish with at least 20 to 25 minutes of Q&A. So I'm going to run you through everything that is happening or soon to happen here in Carson City. It's an exciting time. There's definitely a significant amount of not only public work projects that the city's working on, but we're finally starting to see quite a bit of private sector investment and projects coming through. So again, I'm going to run through this brief pretty quickly. I'm going to start with our upcoming, if you know, the city is on a fiscal year budget. So our budget runs from July 1st through June 30th. So I'm going to brief you on where we are right now in next fiscal year's budget. And I invite you all to come to our open houses. We're going to do a little bit differently this year. We're going to open up the entire budget to the community. We're going to take your input. That's going to be on April 4th. You can see the times up on the screen here. I invite you to come to the community center. We're going to have all the departments there. The departments will be able to provide more in-depth detail on where all your tax dollars go and what we use them for. So it's a great opportunity for us to reconnect with the community, and I invite you all to come. Where are we this year? Well, this year is actually turning out to be pretty good. And I say pretty good because we don't know how it's going to end up. But if you look at just our sales tax revenue numbers, they're probably going to end up in the 4% to 10% range in terms of ahead of where we were last year. And that's good news. That's a significant part of where the city gets its revenue from, and I'm going to go into that in more detail in a moment. Property tax revenues have been flat, mainly due to the very low inflation rate that we have. The state of Nevada has probably the most complicated property tax system in the country, and it's a lot of the increases are tied directly to the consumer price increase or consumer price index, which has basically been flat this past year. This is an eye chart. Don't worry about it. I'm going to talk you through what's important. I'm also going to post this brief up. Okay, I should be back up. All right. So I'm going to post a brief on the webpage. Don't worry about all the details. I'm going to talk you through it. Top left corner is a pie chart that shows you all of the revenue sources of the city. We are very fortunate. The city is very balanced. We get about a third of our revenue from sales tax, about a third of our revenue from property tax, and about a third of the revenues from permit fees, grants, and other government sources. The bottom, I'm going to have to use this microphone. How about that? Can you hear me? Okay. So the bottom left pie chart shows you where all the money goes. Okay? Again, this is our general fund. If you add up public safety, which is fire department, sheriff's office, and you add the courts into it, the judicial branch of government, that adds up to almost 60% of the entire general fund is spent on public safety and the courts. So the rest of the general fund goes into everything from general government, which pays for the clerk recorder, the finance department, the information technology department, all of that. You'll see parks and recreation there. Now look at the two bar charts, because you're going to see, the only thing I really want you to remember in this brief is what the shape of those two bar charts look like, because you're going to see that shape repeated. You're going to see where the city peaked in about 2008, depending on what it is we're looking at. But if you look at the top right chart, you're going to see that's basically our sales tax information. We peaked, and then during the recession, you see how far down. So the city peaked at almost $27 million a year in revenue from sales tax, bottomed out at just over 17 million, about 17.5 million. We're back on the upswing. That's a very good news story for us. We're probably getting close to 25 million in taxable revenue from sales tax. That's a great news story. The bottom chart, that's our property tax. The green bars are the total valuation in Carson City. And then you see that little red graph that shows the revenues that the city gets from property taxes. You'll see the big increase during the recession. The Board of Supervisors increased property tax rate in order to basically to counteract the big drop there in the sales tax. So these numbers tell a very sobering story. I think the last time I spoke to the chamber, I put up I think I had a similar type graph I put up. If you look at just employment numbers, Carson City has not recovered. We have not recovered from the recession. This is better. Thanks, Tyler. Thank you. I'm sorry, I grew up in an Italian household. If I don't move my hands, I stop talking. Barb, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So if you look at both the labor force and the total employment, I'm not talking about rates, because employment rates, there's a lot that goes into that. But if you just look at the total number of people with jobs in Carson City, that's the only thing that matters to me. How many people actually are working? We're still down over 15% from our peak. Pretty similar. I'll move out of the way. Sorry about that. And so again, labor force, top left, total employment numbers, top right. If you look at the bottom, you see the city employment numbers. We're holding the line on the total number of full-time employees we have in the city. Michael Saloga is here somewhere. He's running a great continuous process improvement program. The city is doing much more with less, and we're getting better at it. And frankly, that's the only way we're going to get at some of our required capital improvement projects. Okay, business environment. I think I spoke about this a year ago with the chamber as well. The top graph gives you a good idea of where we are with new business licenses. Again, you kind of see that trend in all of these bar charts, kind of mirror the same downturn, and they tell the same story. We have not fully recovered from the recession. You also see our building permits, and that is basically every category from commercial to residential in the bottom left. Again, don't worry about the details, just look at the bar chart. The bar chart tells the story. I'll have this up on the website if you want to download it. Okay, there's been a lot of interest in streets maintenance. I don't think any of us grew up wanting to be mediocre, and that's where Carson City is right now. Are we great? No. Are we terrible? We're not terrible. Okay? We're about where most of the counties are in Nevada in terms of the condition of our streets. There's a lot of reasons for that. The primary reason is people frankly buy less gasoline than they did a number of years ago. I've got a 2005 3 Series BMW, 2005. The new Ford F-150, the 2016 Ford F-150 pickup truck gets better gas mileage than that little BMW. And it's 2005. That's not an old, in the great scheme of things, that's not an old car. So people are buying less fuel, and the fuel is directly, the amount of fuel that we buy in the city directly impacts how much money is available for streets maintenance. So you see how we stack up against the neighboring counties. Again, none of us grew up wanting to be mediocre. The mayor and the board are working very hard, as is our public works department, to come up with additional funding sources that we might be able to use to get the streets in better condition than they currently are. So I just want to give you a comparison there on how Carson City stacks up against our neighbors. So let's talk about some of our capital improvement projects. I'm going to run through some of these, and then when I get to the private sector private sector projects, I'll run through those as well. And at the end, I'll leave plenty of time. You can ask questions about any of these type of projects. So we've got multiple ones in process right now. If you look at the downtown currently, we're making great progress on it. The new multi-purpose athletic center is open. The animal shelter is coming along, as are some of our utility programs. On the downtown, we broke ground on the 7th, for those of you who saw it down on 3rd Street. Going to be a complete makeover. If you look all the way on the right part of my slide here, that's going to be our 3rd Street pedestrian mall. Bob McFadden Plaza, great private-public partnership with the McFadden family. I also want to thank the Chamber for your leadership on making that 3rd Street pedestrian plaza a reality. That's going to be a great city gathering place. And I think as time goes on, that's going to be kind of the central town plaza, for lack of a better word, where a lot of the great events that are going to take place downtown are going to take place right there. We're going to have a stage. We'll have a great water feature. Be a great place Saturday morning. Take your kids, have breakfast, go to the farmer's market. In the evening, Friday night, we'll be able to really, kick the bands up and have a great time. So downtown project moving along very nicely, ahead of where we thought we would be at this point. How many people have been to the new MAC Just kind of a show of hands. Okay, if you haven't, you should get out there. You'll really be impressed with the facility. It gives Carson City, gives the whole community a great place for us to have many of the recreation and athletic programs that we run in the city. We also have a great co-use agreement with the Boys and Girls Club. It provides those youngsters a great opportunity to play pretty much all the court sports, everything from volleyball. They play an indoor soccer game. They even have an indoor lacrosse league that plays at the MAC. For those of you who enjoy to walk, if you look in my right corner here, you'll see that beautiful 1/8 of a mile walking track. I recommend, especially on a bad weather day, check it out. You'll really enjoy it. You'll see some of the usage numbers. And again, these numbers are just through basically a 2.5 month period. So we've had enormous amount of just drop in. We're selling memberships that really bring down the cost of using this world-class facility. Animal shelters coming along. I actually should have updated my construction slide there in the right. We are far along on that. We were projecting a September grand opening, and we're still on track for that, and I'm very hopeful we might be able to cut that timeline down just a little bit. But the animal shelter is coming along great. Phenomenal partnership with the Humane Society. They have fundraised not only to pay for most of the equipment and furnishings, about a $250,000 value that we, the taxpayers, didn't have to come up with, but they've also gone out and gotten a grant that will help us put an additional dog run if you're familiar with the building. So great relationship with the Humane Society. They've really raised quite a bit of funding for us, defrayed the cost to the Carson City taxpayer, and we're going to deliver a truly world-class shelter that we're all going to be able to enjoy for decades here. Let me talk about some of the water projects we have in place. Anyone driven up Washington Street lately? Okay. All right. So don't throw your lemon meringue pie at me, because that was an important project. The Public Works team and the contractor have really done a superb job. That's a very important part of our water system because it really, I don't know why I'm so groggy, sorry. Pardon me. Okay, so that Washington Street project was really important. If you're not familiar with the Carson City water system, and I don't imagine too many people are, you don't realize we had two separate systems. We had one on the east side, one on the west side. So that Washington Street project combined the two together. It was very important. We're also going to repave Washington Street here. So don't worry about that. We're going to put it back in good shape. Okay, we broke ground on the new water resource recovery facility. I have to prevent myself from saying the sewer plant, but it is now the water resource recovery facility. This is a $30 million project. It is long overdue. This will really put Carson City in good shape, in great shape actually, for the next 50 years. So this has been a long overdue project. We really have been dodging the bullet, so to speak, on treating the wastewater in a environmentally responsible way. We've had very old systems. This particular project has been long overdue, and I'm very happy to report to you that we did break ground on it. You'll see a photo there of the board and the contractors at that moment. So we're very happy about not only the new water resource recovery facility, but the other sewer upgrades that are in place as well. Okay, last year, Parks and Rec added about 3,500 acres of open space. We almost doubled the amount of open space that Carson City has. You can see the total number just over or just under 7,000 total acres of open space. That's an enormous number. We've also completed the Ash to Kings Canyon Trail. If you're into mountain bike riding, if you're into hiking, or if you're into trail running, you really need to head up there. I mean, the snow is probably gone by now. My son was just up there riding his bike and told me it wasn't too bad at all. Ash to Kings Canyon Trail is really going to put us on the map, especially as we look forward to the epic bike race series that we're going to have here in June. A lot of mountain bike interest in the trail network that we've developed here through your quality of life dollars. Through those Question 18 dollars, the city has really invested them wisely. You'll also see the Eagle Creek Bridge, and if you're a sharp observer, you'll be able to tell me that's not actually the Eagle Creek Bridge, which I didn't realize that until this morning when I was going through all my photos, that I had the wrong photo in there. But Open Space had a great year, and I really recommend, if you haven't been down to Silver Saddle Ranch, get down there. The city now owns it, as well as the rest of the Prison Hill Recreation Area. Okay, I'm going to run through a lot of these private sector investment slides. I think you're going to be amazed at what is either currently being built or will soon be built. Barb. So I'm going to run through a lot of these. Some of them are under zoning review, and some are actually under construction at the time. Just this past board meeting, the board approved the initial plan. I won't go through all the details of the Lampa Ranch development. So it could have up to 1,900 residential units, mixed use, commercial, retail as well. Really excited about Lampa. I know for a lot of people it's a very welcome open space, but this will be very good in terms of diversifying the city's tax base and bringing in new residents to Carson City, which we desperately need. Silver Oak, looking at a 31 unit, you can see right around where John Menkins Park is there, looking at adding 31 units to that planned unit development. The old Citibank building, if you haven't driven by on Curry Street, is gone, thankfully. And the new building is going to soon come out of the ground. And this is the type of development, frankly, as the city manager and as any type of urban planning, this is the type of development we want. This is going to be mixed use, residential, commercial, and retail. So the bottom floor will be retail and dining, second floor commercial, office space, that type of stuff. Third floor will be 10 new condos. So this is the exact type of development from the city point of view that we want. More dense, the planners call it urban infill, right? When you think about the condition of our streets, the denser development that the city can do, the more people that we can add in an efficient way, gives us the ability to increase not only our tax base, but then provide greater services for the city at large. So that type of development we're very excited about. Apartment project under construction right now. You're going to see this car wash here very soon, not far, on 50 East. New Boys and Girls Club Teen Center. We're excited about our partnership and our co-use agreement on the MAC with the Boys and Girls Club. This Teen Center will give them the ability to expand their program offering to a group of teenagers who desperately need it. Right up by Carson Tahoe Hospital, you're going to see a new dermatology center. This building's about open. I just drove by on my way here, so the new United Federal Credit Union, just right up the street here on William. Okay, we've got a lot of development that has been approved at the Planning Commission and has been approved, if required, at the Board of Supervisors, and we're just waiting for them to come in and pull their building permits. Some of them, they're doing work on their land. Some of them, they're still working on some of their financing. Again, these are all private investments that the city doesn't directly impact, besides providing the necessary approval at the Planning Commission and at the Board of Supervisors. So you'll see a few items that we're still waiting for them to come in and pull their building permits. Apartments up by Silver Oak. Jackson Village, this will be a great little development when they put that in. New townhomes. And again, the denser type development from an urban planning point of view is very beneficial to us all. Mountain Street Assisted Living Facility. This will really provide a world-class facility for folks to come and not only enjoy all the outdoor amenities that Carson City offers, but also the ability to kind of age in place, which is extremely important. Schultz Ranch, if you've driven by down right off of Topsy Lane East, you'll see a lot of earth being moved right now. So we're very excited about Schultz Ranch, up to about 450 new homes down there. We're looking forward to their first phase, which is going to be about 150 of those 450 homes. I'm going to talk for a moment now. I'm going to change gears. I'm going to talk about some of these information communication technology items. Very important to me. If I look not only at where we are in our current political environment, but if you look at some recent polling that's been done, the Gallup organization does a poll on trust in government, mainly focused at the federal level, but they also poll state and local government as well in that survey. No surprise, trust in government is at a 60-year low. Again, at the federal level, states are doing a little better, local governments are doing better than any of them. But the trend line for all levels of government is down. The way I look at it is we have to change individual perceptions one resident at a time. We're going to reconnect. We are going to reconnect with the residents, and we're going to change the way that we deliver government services. And that's important. We need to reconnect with residents, and we need to change the way that we deliver government services. We need to re-earn the trust of the people. And part of the way that I want to get at it is through some of these information communication items. I'm going to talk for a moment about our new website that we're going to roll out, Carson City Connect, the Jump Around Carson mobile app that we have. I'm going to talk a little bit about emergency management. I want to talk about some of our transparency items that we've put in place, and finally some of our status maps so that residents have near real-time access to the same information we do. So our website is not bad, but it's hard to find the information you need. And we don't provide great online functionality. It's not easy to do a lot of the, your online bill paying and things like that. The private sector cracked that code long ago. Government is still catching up. So we've got a new website that we're about to roll out. I'm very happy with it. The city's new chief information officer has worked real hard on it. You kind of see the new design. It's not only more modern in appearance, but again, it's going to provide much greater functionality, online functionality, and it's going to be much easier for you to find information than instead of you having to do 8 clicks to find a video of the Board of Supervisors, you'll be able to find it in 2. And when you do get to the video, you don't have to search through a 9.5-hour video. You can search by keyword and find exactly whatever it is that you're looking for. So we're going to provide greater functionality. It's also going to scale to your mobile device so that you'll be able to have, on either your iOS or your Android phone, you'll be able to have the same type of functionality in an easy-to-use format. I'd also like to point out we're going to have a live chat feature. We currently have a live chat feature on our Carson Proud page to answer any type of construction. But again, this is all about reconnecting with residents. The average resident doesn't know, do I call Public Works? Do I call Parks and Rec? All I know is there's a tree that fell down across the trail that I like to walk my dog. Who do I call to come take care of this? Well, it doesn't matter. The resident doesn't need to worry about that. They just need to contact us and we'll take it from there. So let's talk a little bit about that. Transparency. That's an important word right now because there's, again, the lack of trust in government. We have to reconnect. You can go to our page right now. We've got a transparency link right on our homepage. You can pull up the city's checkbook. You can see where every dime is that we're spending. On the other side, on the budget side, you can see where we're projecting every dime is coming from. So you have complete transparency on not only where the money is coming from, but where the money is going. Again, all part of we've got to do a better job of reconnecting with people. Carson City Connect, if you haven't seen it or used it, I really recommend you check it out. You can access it on the webpage, but better than that, you should get it if you have a smartphone. You should download the app. It's free. You can download it for your Apple or your Android device, and it gives you the ability to very simply and quickly notify city staff of a problem or ask a question that, again, you don't know who to ask, and it doesn't matter to you. Is it Public Works? Is it Parks? Doesn't matter. You just want your question answered, or you just want the problem taken care of. So I recommend you go check out Carson City Connect. We've had it up now since September 1st. We've got well over 500 service requests that have come in through Carson City Connect. And again, this is how we change the way that we deliver government services. It has to be much more demand focused. It's great for us on city staff to figure out what the priorities should be. But as a resident, that's not the same way that you see things. And again, reconnecting with residents, changing perceptions, one resident at a time. Our Public Works Department probably gets the majority of these, as you would expect, cracks in sidewalks, cracks in the street, those type of complaints. So the Public Works Department has done a phenomenal job. They've jumped right on it. Last year, the Board of Supervisors devoted additional resources to streets. The Public Works Department has plowed that into a rapid crack repair capability. So we have the enhanced ability to respond quickly to repair residents' concerns. If you do use the Jack system, same thing with Jack. We've upgraded the interface. I know Patrick Pittenger was here somewhere. There's Patrick. Patrick's done a phenomenal job with not only the streets, but also with the Jack system. So you can download this app for your device. It'll give you a real-time look of where all the buses are, when they're going to be at the stop that you need to be at. For our disabled users of Jack, it gives them much greater functionality and the ability to have a much more on-demand pickup than in previous years. So really excited about that Jack. For emergency information, we've worked very hard between the fire department, the IT department, the city manager's staff to provide a complete status map that any resident can get on. If you remember about a month ago, we had a major wind event. A lot of trees had knocked down power lines. We had roads closed and things like that. Part of North Carson Street was closed. Fifth was closed. I think we had problems on King up by where the school district is. So we had problems. We had road closed. We had crews responding. But what was going on? How did you know? If you had to go take your daughter to her piano lesson, how did you know if King Street was open or not? Well, this is how you're going to know. And we'll have this updated on a near real-time basis. So as soon as a crew shows up and there's a street closure or there's a fire, what I have on the map right now is a symbol of a fire. As soon as a crew shows up, they're going to update this map. It's online. You have the ability, go right to maps.carson.org, and you'll pull up the same picture. You'll see what we see at city staff. I would also recommend, if you haven't done it, You can download the Code Red app for your smartphone. It gives us the ability, it's kind of our reverse 911 system. In the event of an emergency, we can push out emergency information and text alerts to you. Our real-time construction map is on Carson Proud right now. Down in my bottom right corner, you can barely see this little blue tab. That's our live chat feature. Gives you the ability not only to ask questions, but if you have a problem and you need it addressed, if you're a business owner or if you know a business owner and the business owner has a very specific problem because of the way that our contractor has laid out the cones and closed off a street or something like that, very easy to just contact city staff directly and we're on it. But again, similar to our status map, the construction map will give you updated and near real-time information on where the road closures are, where the parking's been diverted to. You can also sign up for text alerts on the construction. You can also sign up to receive our weekly cone zone report. I want to thank Ronnie for putting out the cones on the table. So you can sign up for our cone zone report. I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave you with public safety. I personally think that's the first function of government, so I kind of want to leave it at that. But you can see kind of a mirror image of the fire department and the sheriff's office. Crime has been trending down. That's a good thing for a lot of reasons, and most of it is due to the efforts of the sheriff's office. But our emergency calls for service are up significantly. Most of those, I'll point out, are ambulance calls. A little over 80% of those, if you look at, I'm pointing right now at the top left bar chart. At the last bar, this is 2015, we had over 9,600 calls for service, and you can see where the growth is. So not sure what the cause of that. Again, over 80% of those are ambulance calls. Is it because we're an older population? I'm not sure, but kind of a mirror image between the fire department and the sheriff's office. Okay, I ran through a lot. I apologize if I gave, kind of if I covered major topics in a short way, but I wanted to get through it all.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I know, Nick, a lot of this stuff, was on the books before you came here, but boy, oh boy, you've made it go. So thank you. Thank you, guys.